Now the second video that we're going to do is looking at something very specific. It's kind of boring, but super important, because these two numbers determine whether or not a deal is going to work. So we get these two numbers in the right space and in the right wheelhouse, we can tell you with almost certainty that a deal is probably going to work. Bar anything big and weird from the outside, these should work. Those two things, there are debt ratios we're called. There's the Gds ratio and the Tds ratio. So now let's look at what those are and how we calculate those, and we can see how this is going to work out within our example. So quite simply, the Gds and Tds are this. The Gds ratio, your gross debt service ratio, is just your housing costs. The Tds ratio is your housing costs plus any outstanding monthly costs you have to pay. Car loans, credit cards, child support, alimony, all that stuff factors into your affordability and how well you can qualify for the mortgage you want to buy. So the Gds ratio, your gross debt service ratio, is calculated like this. Take your principal and interest, which is just your mortgage payment, plus your property taxes, plus your heat, which in our case we're going to use $100, divided by your gross monthly income, then you get your Gds ratio. Your Tds ratio, total debt service ratio, is almost the exact same thing. We take your principal and interest, which is your mortgage payment, plus your property taxes, plus the heat, again at $100, plus any of those outstanding monthly costs, the car loans, the credit cards, and all that. Divide that by your gross monthly income, and then we get your Tds ratio. The wheelhouse we're looking to be in is typically between 32 on the Gds and 42, and with some higher credit and with this new stress test that we need to touch on at some point, we're looking to sit somewhere between at a max of 39 and 44. So if we fall into those categories, there's really not many reasons why this deal wouldn't work. Now, if we take that to our example that we have, let's look at our example that we've been using. So we're going to buy it. We have a home price of $300,000. We already know about our 6.5%. From a salary standpoint, let's use $79,000 a year. Now that's your gross household income. So that could be one person, that could be two people, that could be three people if they're all on title. So let's just use $79,000 a year divided out monthly is $6,583 per month in pre-tax income coming into the house. I tried it with 80, but there was way too many sixes. It was like 66666, which I didn't really like. So let's use 79. So that means when we do all our math, which again I'll show you on a different video, the mortgage payment comes out to $1,350 a month. Our property taxes we're going to estimate at about $3,000, which means they're $250 a month. Heat, as we already said, it's going to be $100 a month, so the total there is $1,700 a month. When we put that into our GDS calculation, we take all that $1,700 divided by 6,583 income. Your GDS comes out to 25.8. Remember, our max we want to hit is 32 in most cases, so we're well within that industry standard. Now we have to worry about the TDS. So in our TDS ratio, again, we're doing the same calculation. $1,350 on the mortgage payment, $250 on the taxes, $100 on the heat. However, in our example, we're going to say that this person has about $10,000 in outstanding debt, line of credit, credit card, things like that, fairly common, and they still have to pay for a car. Now we're going to put that car payment at $490 a month. So that means when we take those debt payments of $300 a month plus the $490 a month on the car payment, and then add it to the $1,700 that we already took for our housing costs, our TDS sits at 37.85. Little high, but nothing as high as it can be, and we're still well within the limits of the industry standard that we have of 32 and 42. And even when we implement the stress test, which means what we're doing is these numbers were calculated at an interest rate of 2.69. What we also have to do is now take this whole deal and calculate it at an interest rate of 4.64. When we do that and make our adjustments, our GDS actually rises to 30, almost 30 and a half, and the TDS goes up to 42.5. Still, assuming this person has some half decent credit, this deal still works. This person still qualifies, or people qualify for their mortgage under the current stress test rules. And we know that as long as this stuff is true and the income is true and valid, we know this deal is most likely going to work. And we can say with 95% sure, bar anything really weird, this person's going to qualify for this mortgage, and now we can move ahead on to the next video, on to the next step, and see what else we can get for them.